right, well, we are finally bringing the LS Miata out of retirement for the first time in literally almost exactly a year. The last time this car drifted was at this same event that we're going to last year, and I didn't really drive it. I did a couple laps in it. Raldo and Jose drove it most of the time, so I am very excited to get behind the wheel of this thing again. It's been way too long. I love this car. It is a monster. It is very fun to drive, and we might even do some competing with it this weekend. So that being said, first things first, it has been sitting for a year and it needs some work and some upgrades and some repairs. It needs stuff. First things first, the battery. So I have a jump pack. I charged it for 2 days and nothing. So it's complete. But obviously step one, we gotta get it off the lift and somewhere we can work on it. I'm gonna get these cars put away, get everything put away, the table, the R2. I'm gonna do some shuffling, and then I'll show you what we're starting on with this thing. All right, well, we got everything put back together, rearranged. You can see our absolute mountain of tires that got delivered this morning. This is how much we're gonna be driving the LS Miata. These are all LS Miata tires, 205, 50, 15. So we've got a few events this year where we either have to bring the Miata, that is not allowed, it's banned as being too crazy of a car, or we just want to because it makes more sense. So we're not only doing these upgrades for the event this weekend, but for the season. And as I mentioned before, once the season's over, this car is gonna get fully rebuilt, finally. It's earned it. This thing started my channel as a little red turbo Miata, blew up several engines. It's won clutch kickers, it's won multiple Pro-Ams, it's won a lot of things. It's done really well, and it deserves a rebuild. So we're gonna get a rowdy NASCAR motor and a dog box and tube front and tube rear. Really put this thing on a diet because this car is heavy for what it is. At the moment, this car is, the last time I weighed it, it's 2,550 pounds. For example, that car, which is much larger, runs a 315, makes 1,000 horsepower, is 2,850. It's only 300 pounds heavier. So for this thing to do what we plan to do with it in the future, it needs to get lighter. So that's what we're starting today. We got to replace this battery anyway because it is toast. As I mentioned, it's just a parts store AGM. I've already replaced it a couple times, but this time we're gonna upgrade it. So what we have is a Titan 8 from Excess Power. So I've had great luck with Excess Power across the board, and I think this is a really cool setup because this is a lithium battery. So it is incredibly lightweight for its power output, but it integrates with our factory charging system. We don't have to do any oddball things to make this work. We should just plug and play while saving us, 40, 50 pounds. So this thing's starting off its weight loss journey with a battery upgrade. So that being said, I need to get this installed. I don't think we're gonna be able to reuse this bracket that I made for this battery, but I'll have to see once I take it out. If not, I'm assuming I gotta whip up a fresh bracket, but that's where we're starting today. None of the rest of it matters if we can't start it. So that being said, I'm gonna get to it. We've also got to decide if we want to stick with these stock terminal ends or just switch to a bolt-on style. I guess it'll depend on what I have lying around. I don't know if I have any of the right size terminal ends to crimp on. Sheesh, man, that's heavy. Well, I was about to just pull this bracket out, but setting them side by side, they're almost the same size. Oh, but our power and ground are in different spots. It's a little too tight. So I'll be honest, this battery is actually for the vet. I love the Miata, and I'm trying to give her the upgrade she deserves, but I wasn't planning on doing it this soon. So this was going to be for the vet, but Miata needs it more. So here we are. this bracket, like, it just almost works. I'm gonna pull it out and we'll see. I might just go ahead and build a new one. This one's kind of dated. Got a much better way of building these now. Oh, it is. No, it's not that close. It's about a 1/8 inch, 1/4 inch shy of fitting. I could cut this, extend this a little bit, and drop it in. It's a little big on the sides, though. I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm just going to modify this one because the way I build them now, the bracket bolts on from the top, which is nice, but in where this battery is, one, we'll probably end up moving it when we do the rebuild anyway and do the tube rear. We're going to have to. Two, where this battery is, you wouldn't be able to get to these bolts easily if they were facing down. So this actually works pretty good. So I think I'm just going to cut it, add a little strip in between, and weld it back together. Oh no, this isn't even gonna work. Okay, we gotta build a new one. That's okay. This battery's taller. Like I said, I got this battery for the Vet, but the Vet's got 2 perfectly good working excess power batteries in it already. The Miata needs it more, so here we are. Yeah, one of those things. It's the right size. It's a little different. It's a little different. It's gonna require a new battery tray, but that's okay, because like I said, I think we've got a good building battery tray method now. I just don't know how well it's gonna work in that location. But we gotta whip out a big sheet of aluminum and get to tracing and cutting. Oh, we got it though. All right, let's see what we got here. So I started working on marking this thing out, and something I have learned, but yet I still ignore my own knowledge of how this works, is that if you rush something, a lot of times you'll end up having to do it twice. But we've got a lot of work to do on this thing, and we need to just hustle through it and get it done. So I whipped out the jigsaw. It's a little more accurate and a little less chaotic to cut with, but it just kept destroying the blades. So we had to break out the circular saw. It's very chaotic, very loud, lots of metal shavings flying at you, but it's fast and it's pretty accurate. So it's literally just a wood blade. Aluminum's just so soft that you can get away with it, but it is a little sketchy. So once we got the main shape cut out, we move over to the bandsaw. Now my bandsaw doesn't have a deep enough throat to get these cuts the way I want them, so we've got to take kind of little bites at a time. Take a chunk out, cut a piece out so that we can get in tighter to where we need to go. I'm trying to add these curves, and it's challenging, but we're going to get it there eventually. We've just got to work it. But this is where you can kind of make or break a project, because if these cuts are off, if these pieces are off, this thing is not going to fit right. For as simple as it is also very simple to mess it up. So I get the rough shape pretty much completely cut out, and then decide to move to the belt grinder and finish off the rest of the shape before I start cleaning up all the edges. This is something I do religiously with this Ameribraid belt grinder, is I just smooth off all the edges, because the cuts leave a really, really sharp corner that's really easy to cut your hand on, and it adds a little to the finished product. So once we had it cleaned up in the belt grinder, it was time to start bending. So we've got to bend our little tabs first, because we won't really be able to get it back in the bender once we bend the main tabs. But it's looking a little bit off from what I was kind of going for, and this is the downside to the big press brake, is you can't really bend 2 things back to back. So I got them bent enough and realized that I measured wrong. Oh, I measured correctly, but I wrote my measurement of 7 inches down as 7.5 inches. So I decided to worry about that problem later and move on to the top strap. And as I'm looking at this and I get the top strap done,
I'm very unhappy with it. The two posts are kind of off. It's way too wide. It's just a disaster, to be honest with you. I tried to rush it and I messed it up and it sucks. So I'm gonna modify it. I decided to cut it in half, cut about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch out of it to tighten it up some so the battery fits in there nice and snug, and then weld it back together. And I had to then modify my top strap to fit. So once I got it close to where I was happy with it, it still wasn't quite right. And I thought, if I'm going to weld this thing back together, I might as well have it exact. So I cut about another 1/8 inch off of it, and then we clamped it to the table and went ahead and tacked it up and started welding it. Pretty quick and easy. You know, welding on flat aluminum like this and relatively clean aluminum is not bad, and definitely one of those things where I, again, cost myself time by trying to rush, but it's definitely worth spending the time to have a piece that's functional. It was so loose in there, this thing would have not been a battery tray if I didn't do that. So I went ahead and drilled and tapped the holes. That's the benefit to using this thicker aluminum, is you can just tap right into it. And then we got it to the point where I'm reasonably happy with it. It's not perfect. It's not the most amazing thing, but like I said, we're going to end up rebuilding this anyway when we rear this car. This is literally just for now, and this battery is so light that it doesn't need much to hold it down. So I had to stack some rubber in here. Now this is kind of dual purpose. We need this to isolate the battery so it doesn't chafe the plastic on the aluminum, but it also kind of holds everything snug. You make it a little bit too thick, so that way when you tighten everything down, it acts kind of like a rubber band and squishes against the battery and holds it tight in place. It also kind of gives it more grip so it doesn't slide. So we had our holes drilled, we had our battery tray mounted. I went ahead and used Excess Power's top post, regular post style terminal adapters. I wasn't sure which way I wanted to go. I decided to try it this way, and it's time to toss the battery in and bolt the top piece on. It's a little bit trickier to get to one of the bolts than it was before, but I'm overall happy with where it is. All right, battery is installed. Went with a little angled deal just to make it easier to get to the terminals, and it just kind of fits better that way because the back's angled. But pretty happy with that, how that came out. For how bad I started with the bracket, having to cut it apart and re-weld it. It's not bad. The battery is super tight in there. It's not going anywhere. That ain't going nowhere. Oh, final touch is kind of covering the positive terminal. That'll pass tech. But yeah, so let's see if it works. I imagine it will, but oh yeah, we got some juice. Woo! That was fast. That definitely cranked over faster than before. I didn't expect it to go that quick. Oh, all right, cool. Battery done. We now have a good, fresh, charged, lightweight lithium battery. Stamp it. Done and dusted. The next thing we're going to do is try to fix my hard top here. All of these got stripped out, and the bolts just fall out, and this is what holds the top on at the front. So we're going to try to helicoil it still. Okay, I didn't know if you discovered something that... I think it's going to work. We're going to give it a shot. And if we can helicoil this, then our bolts will stay in, which would be nice.
Keep the top on.
Right. Josue also got all the tires mounted too. Look at that stack of Nittos.
Ready to rip.
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I'm so excited to drive this car again. It's been so long. I'm really excited to tear it apart and rebuild it, don't get me wrong. But I'm very excited to drive it. All right, let's see if we can make this work. So we started what feels like a game of operation, trying to drill and tap these and not drill through the roof. Unfortunately, one of them decided to spin. These are just metal inserts that are fiberglass in there. So I decided to be a little bit more cautious with the second set, use some tap magic, which I should have been using in the first place, and I got those threaded without any casualties. So then we started threading in the helicoils and deciding what to do about this one where the insert spun, and we managed to get a rib nut to fit in there. It's not great, and whether or not a bolt can actually tighten down into it kind of remains to be seen, but it's something. Something's better than nothing, right? All right, we got the hardtop helicoiled. We had to do a rib nut here. The countersunk it, got it nice and flush, and pretty happy with that, honestly. I mean, I will see how well it holds up because it's just biting into the fiberglass. It's not grabbing onto an edge, but hopefully now we can put the top on and the bolts not fall out. I'd literally be in competition and a bolt would just fall into my lap. And so I thread taped them to try to make it work, and
It didn't work, so we'll see if this does. I've been meaning to do this forever.
I lucked out. I went the right way for once.
I thought I was doing it backwards. Like I knew, but I did it forwards.
All right, the roof is more secure than it has ever been. Probably in the entire time I've owned this hardtop, which is a long time. Very, very happy with that. I'm so glad we finally got to that. I mean, we're at the breaking point where we had to do it. But now, if we want to take the top off, it's not a big deal. Before, I would try to avoid taking the top off at all costs, which you have to take it off to get to the fuel hat and the cool shirt thing if we put that in. But I would avoid it because I knew every time I took it on and off was less times it was going to go back on. Less times those bolts were going to tighten down, so I avoid it. But now, we don't have to worry about it. They tightened up nice, like very, very pleased. We also did change the battery terminal. They come with these nice covers, and I kind of forgot. So we switched it to bolt on here, so that way we can use the positive terminal cover. Because that's a big thing. That's something they will always check at tech. At least with drifting, make sure your positive terminal is covered. And it's really hard to do, even with these nice boots and stuff. So now we're covered, literally and figuratively. Last thing I had to check was the tune. I had to make sure, I've had this car set up for flex fuel the whole time. So we got our flex fuel sensor right there. So that way it can read whatever the content is and adjust the tune accordingly. However, I've never put anything but E in it since I set that up. So I wasn't even sure if it was all still enabled in the tune or not. You know, I had no idea. And the plan is this weekend to put pump gas in it. It still has E in it right now. Hopefully not a full tank. Burn off that E and then start running on pump gas. A, because we don't really need the power, the extra power from the E. But B, because if you run pump gas through it, it almost acts like a cleaner in my experience, and it'll help clean out the injectors. But something I did just think of, if we have TR55 plugs in it, we kind of only can run those with E. It'd probably be all right. Probably be all right. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. But our goal is to run pump gas in it this weekend. But anyway, we're going to drive this thing outside and wash it before we start loading it up.
Get it nice and spiffy.
So funny how much less room these tires take up.
That power steering though.
True.
I saw that.
Yeah. I was thinking about it. I'm probably not as strong as I was when I was driving this car all the time. To the track. We got my Miata out for the first time in a while, and then that's Ben's old Miata that he sold a while ago now. We'll have to do some tandems with him, Miata tandems. First time ever putting pump gas in this thing in over 5 years. I had pump gas when I first got it done. I blew the first motor up immediately, long story. And then after that, I put another motor in, immediately put it on E, and it has never been on pump since. That was 5 or 6 years ago now. Probably 6. So it's getting pump gas. We changed the tune, we pulled 3 degrees out across the board, and then the flex fuel will pull another 5 if we go all the way down to just straight pump gas.
Real safe.
Because we still got some hot plugs in it from running it on E. We have TR55s. But I think it'll be good for it. Give it some old pump gas for us. It was thirsty. It's taking us all 5. Oh no,
Oh.
barely.
There it is.
So we're probably going to be at like E40 right now.
Keep an eye on it.
But the flex sensor will compensate.
All right, first driving of the Miata in a year. I am actually very excited to drive this car again. Got the tires aired down. I'm trying out I used to have this microphone set up in my helmet so I could talk while I'm driving. And it started getting finicky, so I stopped using it, but I got a new one. Oh, forgot about the struggles of no power steering. Oh. God, it feels so small in here. I'm so used to the Vet and the F80. I gotta try to drive with Ben's old Miata. It's just it's so weird being in here again. I forgot what gauges I need to look at, what's normal. The Tim's, the Vet's got a different digital dash. It's got the more modern Pro Dash. And I've got like everything on there. And this one I've got like hardly freaking anything on here. Let's take this IO2, delete. I feel so like low to the ground too. Probably do a solo lap just to get us started. Haven't driven the car in so long. I need to change my handbrake master cylinder size. That pull's too tight. Conserve tire now. Well, we still got it. Now we gotta find someone to tandem with. Found someone to tandem with. We put an electric water pump and different fan setup on this car before they drove it a year ago. And it makes such a big difference. This thing's at 183. It was at 175 when we started. Definitely seemed like it was breaking up a little bit at first, but it started getting a limiter. Just needed to get a good throttle whacking, really. I'm trying to conserve tires. I've got these tires for 2 really special events we're doing this year, but I needed to come out here and shake the car down before we go travel to some far away event and potentially have an issue, since the car hasn't been driven. Plus, I haven't driven it. But yeah, I'm gonna want to just keep driving. Oh, you guys have been pointed at the helmet. My apologies. I can't believe how well this thing is cooling. That's absurd. Absurd. Very pleased with that. Like I said, Raldo and Josue drove it after we did those upgrades, but you know, they didn't have a frame of reference as to how cool it ran before, if it was better, and I kind of forgot about the upgrades. I was just focused on them driving it. So this is my first time really sitting through a whole session in it, and it's wild. Like, what a difference. I'm so much better at driving this car than the vet. We're taking the Miata and we're driving over to the drag strip side, using this thing as a commuter car to go check out the No Prep. Billy and the whole Street Racing Channel crew are there. We were going to go check it out anyway, but it worked out that they're there, so it should be interesting.
Side quest.
Side quest. Leaving the drift track straight to the drag strip. Whoa. Worlds collide.
Again.
I know, I really wanted to just come to this. And then I'm like, of course our drift weekend's the same weekend, same day.
Hey, it's the same parking lot.
It is true. I mean, literally, this car's not registered. We just drove it over here. Two total opposites. This is who's Billy's racing. This is going to be our first time watching a No Prep race, O'Slay.
Right, on the track.
And it's literally next door. And we're doing the No Prep thing, standing on the track. We gotta find someone to tandem with. You're good. Yeah, sorry, I'll pull over here. Confusing people. Oh, I do kind of want to drive with Ben's old car. All right, we're driving with Ben's old Miata. This is crazy. Oh, it's gonna be sick. I'm so excited. I haven't driven with this car in so long. Gotta make sure you get the jump. Makes me happy. I haven't driven with that car in like a year. I miss it so much. Me and Ben had so much fun driving those cars together. Gotta make sure we're ready. We don't get gapped. I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. My car fuel cut. I gotta go top it off with fuel. It just it completely cut out. I topped it off when I got here, but maybe I didn't put enough in it. Dude, that was awesome.
The last run, my alternator quit.
Oh no.
I overheated and swung a belt.
Oh.
I was like, what the heck?
Well, we can drive again later.
Find an alternator, I'll be down.
So I topped it off with fuel. It didn't even take a full 5 gallons, so I wasn't 100% confident that that was the issue, but I thought, you know, maybe things are clogged up. It's been sitting for a while, and it just fuel cuts a little earlier. So Alberto wanted someone to drive with, so I decided to go back out for the last few minutes of the session and try to get a couple runs in with him. So we're sitting in the trailer after session number 2. We started the AC in the trailer. This is our first time using it at the track. We brought the generator and we started it before the session, 45-minute session. It is amazing in here right now. I get with the clubhouse, like, I don't know why I didn't do this a long time ago. I always thought trailer AC was kind of silly because the trailer not being insulated, I didn't think it would work well, but it's hot out and it feels nice in here. It's so nice to be able to just like go to a cold place. Yeah. You know, like as I'm changing tires, I get to go in the AC after this.
Nice little reset.
Yeah, fresh, chill. Like you said, the only downside is it keeps you from exploring.
Yeah, it keeps you in here because I don't want to go open the door.
Right, it's too hot.
You're in.
Yep. AC's working, Miata's ripping. We did have one fuel cut moment, which was kind of weird. It's the second to last turn, and it just cut, and I looked at the gauges and saw the wideband was like 36 air fuel, which means there's no fuel, super lean. So it felt like standard fuel cut, which I felt before, but you know, we topped it off before we went out. It took another like 5 gallons, which shouldn't be enough for us to be fuel cutting. You know, normally it can drain the whole tank before it starts to fuel cut. So I don't know if it's, you know, something clogged up in the surge tank, maybe one of our filters is clogged up from the e-sitting. It could be a number of things, but we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll just keep it topped off. Other than that, though, car's ripping, it's cooling well, I'm having a blast driving it. I just wish a car didn't eat tires so fast, because I'm debating doing the comp tonight. Generally more for the local guys that don't get a chance to compete. That's why I normally don't compete in it, because there's only so many spots, right? And like, I don't want to take one of the spots from someone who doesn't get the chance to go out of state and compete. But that being said, I haven't competed in a long time, and it would be good to compete. We got 205s, definitely not an overkill car, but we don't really have enough tires if we can't do 2 full battles on a set. So we're going to debate it. And we're either going to drive this next session or do the comp. One or the other. But we're having a good time. AC's nice. Very happy about that. We are about to go back out for the last session of today, I think. I think this is the last one. We got Host Juanito in the ride this time.
Riding shotgun.
Doing all the ride-alongs today. Dude, I shouldn't have put my intake air temp on the dash. It's like, I never knew how hot it was. Out of sight, out of mind. You know what I'm saying? Not that I'm worried about it, because it's always it's fine. But I'm like, this thing's sitting at 100.
Number to look at.
120 degrees right now? That's spicy. It's just climbing. I never would even look at it. I had no idea before. I can't wait to rebuild this car. It's going to be so satisfying. Strip all this wiring out and repaint the cage, repaint the outside.
It's earned it.
It's earned it, dude. trying to pedal it as much as I can to save tire, but it's so hard to want to. You're just like, I just want to floor it. It's like when I can feel that they're done, I'll floor it. I'm trying so hard not to burn them off. I don't know how much it actually helps.
The leads are buttery.
Thank you.
Nice and wide.
Ah, he's saying he's done. Oh, perfect.
You gotta flash your lights at it.
Hopefully I can keep up. Hopefully these tires got enough left in them.
Yeah.
Tires are definitely screaming for mercy. My tires are almost done, but I'll give you a lead. That was great. I mean, this would be lap number 6. So it's like, as long as I pedal it on the leads, they last okay. It's always crazy to me how, like, you can drive a little different and make the tires last so different amounts. Like, I could go out there and probably just about cook these in 1 lap.
I'm sure you could. I'm sure.
Or like in 6 laps, you know, it's like, it's crazy. Oh shit. I died. Yeah. But it's like, we filled it up.
Yeah.
It's got to be the fuel pumps.
Dead?
Yeah, it's not starting. It's so close. Oh. God. I'm like, give me, yeah, I probably have to. I don't think it's going to start. Sorry. There we go. God, it's like the first time in a long time I've ever had to get pulled off track. Yeah, I thought it was gonna start. The toe of shame.
Dude, when's the last time you've been pulled off track?
Dude, the last time was when I took this car to Grid Life. That's the only, I think that's the only time I've ever been pulled off track. It, at that time, it cracked, like, it was when it was still the cast iron manifolds, and it cracked the flange for the manifold and just was like heat soaking the starter and like melted the starter wire and shorted the battery out. But I did do it twice because I thought I fixed it. I thought it was something else.
Okay.
I thought it was like the starter, and then I went back out there and it did it again. Oh. Yeah, it just died. And it wouldn't start. I know, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Sorry about that. Dude, those are great runs too.
Fun running with another Miata.
Right?
That actually like.
They're perfect, like together. It's so fun, like standing in these two cars.
It's crazy. Like, everything's good.
Yeah, oh yeah, this
How well
thing's
they
fun.
drive together. Just
Yeah.
like the chassis.
Yeah, because they drive the same, and then it's nice to have two rowdy cars that drive the same.
Yeah.
It's like normally if you have two cars that drive the same, one of them's, you know, they're not rowdy. Like
Yeah.
two Z's.
Yeah, stock seats.
Yeah. All right, man. Thank you. All right, well, we made it back to the track. We obviously did not do the comp last night. It was pretty fun to watch. There was some really good driving. Shout out to Avocado on the wind. Drift Sessions live stream was really good. So it was a good time. In hindsight, I wish we would have done it. I was still kind of on the fence, but was leaning towards doing it. But the car made up its mind for us because it decided to brake on the last lap of the last session right before the comp. And by the time we had determined what it was and sorted it out, they were already done with the driver's meeting and the comp was about to start. So we did find the problem. So the car fuel cut, and I wasn't quite sure why. So we went to top it off with fuel, and when Josue pulled the fuel cap off, as he was loosening it, there was a lot of pressure, and when he pulled the cap off, it just geysered fuel out. It was under so much pressure. So my first thought was that the exhaust was cracked and it was heat soaking the fuel tank and boiling the fuel, but it wasn't. There was no cracks. And we haven't changed anything on the car since last time. So I was like, this doesn't make sense. You know, the car has been effectively the same as it was. And then Josue mentioned, what if it's the pump gas? And at first I was like, why would it be the pump gas? But then he looked it up, and pump gas vaporizes at a much lower temperature than E85. So everything being the same, putting pump gas in there, that heat vaporized it when it wouldn't do that to E85. Because basically I think what's happening is the exhaust dumps right before the trunk. And I think it's that one, especially when we're sitting in grid and it's hot out, it's heating up the surge tank, then vaporizing the fuel, then vapor locking the system. So we'll let it cool down and fire it right up. So we put some E back in it, some 1E, the E we run in the vet, or AC, to really kind of hopefully bring the content back up. And I just got to be cautious about idling it in grid too long. Otherwise it should be good. So we're gonna drive some more. Oh, it did it again. It's not fixed. Damn, that sucks. Damn it. All right, well, we have the same problem as last night, so we did in fact not figure it out. We're gonna go do a data log on the oval.
I didn't realize the gate was closed. It's set up.
I guess I'll go on the skid pad and just do a solo. I mean, that seems to have fixed it. Basically, what I did, I didn't explain. Oh man, I don't know when this stopped data logging. SBB fuel cut. We made it to where the second pump comes on all the time. It was fine. Pressure was perfect. Air fuel.
I wonder if the air vapor lock kills that pump.
Yeah, I mean.
I don't know.
Did it do it now?
No, it's fine. It's like 10s, 9s, 10s. Pretty much across the board, like the whole run, it's overly rich. Maybe that pump was dying and the learn was, you know, trying to fix it. Yeah, I could just clear the learn table. I'm gonna clear it. Cleared. went a little wide and he got in the like all the tire pebbles and you lose all grip. Sounds like it's breaking up now. It was good that time. I don't know. It was like, it seemed like it was breaking up when I led him. So I just did a solo and it was fun. All right, well, we made it back home. The LS Miata is tucked back up on the lift. I even got some of its wheels and tires up there with it. That's the one thing we just do not have space for. We're constantly running out of space for wheels and tires. But man, this thing did good this weekend. I am so happy with how this car performed, and it just was so much fun driving it again. Besides that hiccup with the fuel system, which is completely expected. I mean, the car sat for a year with E85 in it. It didn't get driven much. Before that, it just hasn't really been driven, you know? And so not surprising. Not surprising at all. We just need to go through it before the next big events, but at least we got to shake the car down and know that it's pretty well dialed, besides just going through a few things. So, had so much fun though. And tandeming that car, it's the first time I've tandemed it in probably a year and a half, maybe more, because the last time I drove it, which was a year ago, I only did 2 solo laps in it at the very end of the weekend. So to be able to jump back into tandem and feel still, as much as I hate to admit it, better than I feel in this car was kind of bittersweet. It was like cool, but also, man, I really need to get this thing driving like that thing, or close, you know? So that being said, this is a long one. We are out of time, but let me know what you guys think of the Miata and what we should do before we tear it down and rebuild it. Any other updates and revisions. But for now, that's it. So thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I will see you next time. Goodbye.